Hey everybody, hi YouTube. Hey, I'm Dave, and this is my table saw. And it's a Sawstop PCS-175. It's the smaller of the professional series with only a 1.75 horsepower motor. And it comes standard at 120 volts. And all my previous equipment I've always run on 220. So I'm going to show you how to convert this puppy to run on 220, and it's going to give it a little bit more power, especially at startup. It's going to spin it a little bit faster, and I've always had great luck anytime I've converted any of my woodworking tools to run on 220. So I've had this unit for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I bought it used off of a woodworker who had 2 of them, and he only needed 1, and so he barely used this one. So I got a great deal on it. Hey, if you can find a used Sawstop and you really want one, buy it, because it's rare that they come up for sale. People buy these, the professionals, and they never get rid of them. They just don't want to sell them, because not only are they safe, because if you touch the blade, it drops down and hits the brakes and keeps you from losing your fingers. It's just a great saw. I had a really nice Grizzly before this, and the only thing that would make me sell it was a Sawstop. And oh my God, what a difference. Even though this one has less power, it ripped through all the hardwood and everything else just as strong as my more powerful Grizzly. And it was only running on 110. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how much changing it over to 220 improves it. So hang on for a second, and we'll get to work on this. All right, so the tools that we're going to need to do this, you really don't need many. You need a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, got one right here. A 6mm Allen key, got one right here. It's got a nice T-handle on it. This is actually for my bicycles. I use them for everything. And a wire nut. I've got 2 of them here because I'm not sure which size I'm going to need. But I'll figure that out when I start putting it on. If it's too loose or too tight, I know which one to use. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. I almost forgot. You need one of these. You need an adapter in order to run the Sawstop on 220. All my previous equipment, like all my Grizzly tools, have always been, they've had a contactor in them that was dual voltage. So you just had to rewire inside the contactor box, and it would go from 120 to 240 like that. Nice and easy, 5 minutes of work, and then just change the plug. Well, with Sawstop, well, I'm assuming because of the sensitive electronics in there, the safety equipment, they didn't put a multi-voltage contactor in it, but that's okay. This was only 70 bucks from Sawstop. They charged me $15 for shipping, so $85 total. Not too bad. Couldn't find a used one anywhere because, well, of course, Sawstops are so popular, the guys hang on to them forever. So how to buy it directly from Sawstop. So you need to get one of these, and don't try to convert it without one of these. You will ruin your saw. So get one. Okay, so next we're going to take our number 2 screwdriver and pull this cover off the motor. Yeah, this is the exciting part of it. Pulling screws. Ooh, yeah. All right, and wow, look at that. Well, that thing wasn't exactly airtight, so we got a little bit of sawdust in there. I'm going to take a quick break, clean that out, and I'll rejoin you in a second. Okay, I got that all cleaned up. Looks good. Don't know how much sawdust all that sawdust got in there, but anyway, before you begin, make sure that your saw is unplugged. Also, make sure that the arbor is tilted at 0 before you open up all this stuff. And just a little bit of safety precaution. Now, mine is unplugged. I'm sure of it. And next thing we're going to do is pull off these 2 wire nuts, and we're going to pull this wire on out of this little junction box here. So pull those off, separate. I think we can leave those two. Yep, those go to the motor, so we can leave those two kind of together. Pull this one off, and wow, those are pretty loosely connected there. All right, not terrible, but should have been a little bit better. Okay, and then I got to disconnect this green wire, this green grounding wire here, and yep, just use your Phillips head screwdriver and oop, there goes my screw. Put it up here for safekeeping. All right, now that's all disconnected, and I guess you pull that on down and through. Oh boy, I wish I had like a car lift or something here. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with this, but I'm going to try and figure out how to do this, and I'll pop back in when I figure it out. All right, I figured it out, and here are the parts. I actually broke it right here, this little bit right here as I was yanking it out, and this piece, you kind of squeeze it in, so it's the back side over here. You squeeze that in, and it, yeah, so it's sitting like so. And you push in really hard from the bottom here. And it says SBBR-1. Okay, well, I guess I can order a new piece if I ever need to. But this piece does come apart, and it just kind of holds like that. And as it goes up in here, it spreads apart and locks in place. So you give it a good squeeze from the back, and then wiggle it on down, and it comes out, and so does your wire. So now we're going to pull this wire out of the cabinet. Here we go. All right, and now on to the next step. Okay, now we're going to remove the left side of the left side cover. If I can find my number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. There it is. And let's get this puppy off. Where is my DeWalt? I should have brought that up, but it's hiding. Yep, there we go. Welcome to the insides. All right. So we got that off. Okay, now we need to disconnect the D sub connector. And that's the one that looks like a monitor cable. Right there. And boy, that puppy's on tight. So you're gonna need a Phillips head screwdriver too. Sorry, slot head screwdriver. Just to loosen up a little bit, and there we go. There we go. See, it just looks like an old DB9, D-Sub 9 monitor cable like we used to use before the days of HDMI and high definition type monitors, but still a use for them here. That's kind of neat. Okay, well, there's an error in the instructions. It said you need a 6mm. Turns out they don't fit. It doesn't fit. The 6mm doesn't fit. So going through later in the instructions, it says 5mm. So I'm going to go to my shop and grab a 5mm now. And so luckily you're watching this, so you need a 5mm, not a 6mm. So I'm gonna run. Okay, I am back and ready for any possibility. My trusty Harbor Freight Allen keys. You know, we all hate Harbor Freight, but you can't help but go there and buy stuff. Right? We've all gone to Harbor Freight and bought stuff because it's cheap, and sometimes it's all right, but I would never buy a table saw or a serious piece of machinery from Harbor Freight. As we like to call them, the one-time use tools, because you don't want to spend $300 on a tool, but you'll spend $50 on a tool if you're only going to use it that one time. Here in the Denver area, we got a great shop. It's called Charlie's Secondhand, and the place has been around for about 100 years, and all they sell are tools. It's great because I've gotten to know the guy Mike down there, one of the owners, and man, I go there and I'll buy a tool, a nice used secondhand tool, use it 1 or 2 times, go there, take it back, and resell it to him for like maybe $20 less than what I paid for it. So it's cheaper than renting it from Home Depot. I get to hang on to it for as long as I want, take it on back there, and sometimes I've even gone there with tools and exchanged it for other tools that they have. So if you're in the Denver area, check out Charlie's Secondhand. Just Google it. Okay, it looks like there's a couple more Allen bolts on the other side, and I'm going to take those off while you're taking a break. All right, so now I'm going to remove this whole assembly. I'm going to do it in a little bit different order than what the instructions said, because the instructions didn't really make much sense to me. It said that I should attach the contactor to this thing first, to the on-off switch, but I think I should remove this first. So I'm going to take that off and see what happens. There's 2 more bolts up here. They're really hard to see because it's kind of dark, but I can see them. So I'm going to take those out because the camera's in the way, so I'm going to shut the camera off, pull those out, and on to the next step. Next step, I'm going to remove this whole assembly with the contactor and the contactor plate from the underside of the table saw. I'm doing it a little bit different. The instructions said that I should attach the new contactor to the on-off switch, but that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to take this off first. And I just found another error in the instructions. These 2 bolts up here, they are 4mm Allen key. Not 5, not 6, but 4. Doesn't say it in the Sawstop instructions. So you're going to need a 4mm Allen key. I'm going to shut the camera off because it's in the way. I'm going to yank this off, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, Sawstop. These instructions need some help. They're not done very well. So, but anyway, I can figure it out. It's just electrical connections, so maybe just throw these away. Next, we're going to want to disconnect this puppy. So loosen these screws up. I'm not sure if we have to loosen them up or pull them out entirely, but this is going to need to be disconnected. And then we need our screwdriver with vodka and orange juice. And we are free. So the old contactor box is now completely detached from the machine. So next, we're going to install the new 220 and get that all wired up. So it's just kind of doing it in reverse what we did. Oh, look at that. Okay, on to the next step. I am ready to begin putting it all back together. And this is the 208 to 240. Woohoo! Hooray! Remember that, Tim Allen? Oh God, that used to kill me. Anyway, let's put this together. So first thing, we need to attach this because this is the last thing that we detached. Okay, we want to make sure that we put it together the right way. Oh, there we go. Luckily this little plastic connector only goes together one way. You can't flip it the other way and plug it in. It's impossible. All right, now since I did it out of order, I now have to attach the on-off switch to the new contactor box, like so. So there's going to be those 4 screws again with the 5mm connectors. All right, so I'm going to take care of that. You don't have to watch. Pow! The magic of video editing. You don't have to watch the boring stuff. Or we can fast forward through it. But anyway, I got the force Allen bolts put back in. They're good and tight on there. And now we are going to begin putting these wires back into place. So we got this one and that monitor cable, the D-sub-9. There we go. I'm actually going to plug that back into there so it doesn't get all wily on me. All right, I'm just going to grab my screwdriver here, and don't over torque these. They are plastic. They are pieces of junk. And you will damage that connector. I used to work in computers and used to work on these all the time, and yep, they are easy to break. So just light torque, like 2 fingers. There we go. And that is that puppy's back on there. Now we want to put the retaining tab back into place, and that's going to be a little bit tricky because I only got 2 hands. All right, got it all back together. Also notice that the screws are not centered in this little retaining bar. There's a little bit more meat on the power side versus the D-sub-9 connector. So now we are going to reattach with these 2 4mm bolts. And one thing I didn't mention was right here is this little hole that gives you access to, see, that other Allen bolt down there. So stick your tool through there and it'll reach that. So good thinking there, Sawstop. You've made up for the bad instructions. I'm going to hang this back up. I'm going to spare you the details because it's really dark under there, and I'll rejoin you in a second. Okay, we've got it all mounted up. And now it's ready to have the cover put on. So here is the cover. And I already dropped my screws into the holes. So we'll line this puppy up. Okay, you want to make sure that this puppy, yeah, lots of puppies, that your power switch moves freely when you get that cover on. And during the intermission, I went and got my DeWalt. All right, now remember, this is plastic. It's not that heavy duty. So don't drive them all the way in with your DeWalt or whatever type of power tool you're going to use. Stop them before they start torquing down, and then torque them down by hand. Okay, that's looking good. Where's my screwdriver? Oh, there it is. We'll finish torquing these down by hand. That is really strange. Why it's doing that. Don't quite understand. I'm gonna do a little troubleshooting. All right, so I did a little bit of troubleshooting, and I found that these 2 bottom screws, even though I torqued them in by hand and really didn't torque them in that hard, they were restricting the movement here. So I just backed these out a little bit, And there we go. It's working more normal now. So all is good. I'm going to double check these. Yep, so these are just, make sure you don't over torque the bottom ones to inhibit the free movement of your power switch. And now remember, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 as far as screws go. All right, now we are going to run the wire back through the hole here. And remember this guy, we got to put that on there and then put it back into the wires down over here. Ah, there we go, I think. Yep. I hope. All right, let's give it a shot. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. All right. I hope, yep, you saw that. Awesome. Okay. So, yep, I got plenty of wire here to attach everything together. Okay, first I'm going to attach the green ground wire, and just in case you forget, it's that screw with the extra meat around it. Oh, I think I got it. Maybe. My recommendation is don't film yourself doing this, because using a camera just gets in the way and makes everything more difficult. But it will be so worth it to have this bad boy running on 220. Okay, that's nice and snug. Right, next, on to twisting wires. Now it's time to connect all the wires together. And I was checking out the instructions here. And there's a photo of how the colors all go together. This photo is not correct. It didn't quite make sense to me. And I was looking at it, I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. And if you read the first page, it says read the instructions entirely before you begin this process. I didn't. I'm just going along, reading each step as they come, and realizing that these instructions are riddled with errors, so do not follow this picture. On the next page, if I had read the instructions like I was supposed to, there's a wiring diagram, and that looks absolutely correct. So I'm going to follow that and get these all put together. So the green is already attached back down here. And let's see, black coming in from the contactor will connect to the white going to the motor. So here we go, black goes to white. And then white coming in from the contactor goes to the red. And then black and yellow both go to the motor, and these two guys get paired up. All right, that wasn't too hard. And then you put your wire nuts on. And there was a little bit of electrical tape around these when I opened it up. I didn't show you in the video taking them off. So I'm going to get a little bit of electrical tape and tape these puppies back up. All right, and we're almost done. Yeah, also if you notice, there's three connections now instead of just two. So you will need to get that one extra wire nut. And little suggestion of Sawstop in the future. If someone's paying for a new contactor, you can spare the 5 cents or the penny for one nice wire nut. Now come on, we're woodworkers, not electricians. Well, actually I do work on electrical stuff, so I have tons of electrical things around my shop. But all right, so I had lots of wire nuts. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to double check that just to make sure. So go back to your wiring diagram. So white coming in from the contactor goes to the red wire. That's correct. Yellow and black going to the motor. Both wires go to the motor. That is correct. And then black coming in from the contactor connects to the white. Okay, that's perfect. That is good to go. And let's put the little cover back on here. And I'm going to peel off the 120 volts here because we are not 120 volts anymore. Oh yeah, look at that. I didn't see that there. What do you know? And I will double check that too. So red goes to white. Yep. And black and yellow go together. And let's see, 4 is white. And white goes to red. Yep. So according to this, I got it all wired correctly. So make sure you don't rewire this and not change your contactor. You gotta buy a new contactor. I was speaking with the sales rep, Robert, who works in the parts department over at Sawstop. He said so many people follow this, they rewire it, don't buy the new contactor, and boom! They have an expensive repair on their hands, and they've just killed their brand new many thousands of dollar Sawstop. Pretty cool sound effects there, huh? I hired Michael Bay to come in and give me that explosion. All right, boom, 2 thumbs up, done. So it took me about an hour to do all this because I kept repositioning the camera and, but it should take about a half hour. That's my guesstimate. And if you follow these instructions that I just gave you, so if you watch this video from beginning to end, it should go really, really quick and have the instructions on hand as well. So should only take about a half hour to do this, but next I'm gonna close it all up and we're gonna fire it up and make sure that it works and hope it doesn't explode. If it does, that will make great video. First, we're going to plug it in and make sure that we get lights. Okay, oh, we have a green light. That's good news. Cross the fingers and... Whoa. Oh my God, that thing got up to full speed so much faster. It was like a quarter of the time. All right. One more time. Okay, well that does it. It's done. It's working. I am really, really happy now, and gonna give it a thumbs up. So I hope this video has been informative and helpful to you. If it has been, please give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell just in case you want to get alerted to new videos that I do. And also check out my home theater series. I built a fantastic, gorgeous home theater in my basement. It took me over 8 months and it just came out phenomenal. So check that out. Also other stuff going on. So thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great night.